Hey there, people. It's True Outlaw Patriot once again. Um, Came across this video by Forbes. It came out on July 26th. Um, it's with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know if anybody knows Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She it's still in politics. I can't imagine why. I mean, she's been in the news quite a lot. Um, she was never, in my opinion, she was never a good person. I mean, she did so much damage when she was on Obama's team, I should say. Um, you know, it's hard sometimes to listen to some of these Democrats, the way they like to phrase things and push things through. And once again, here we go with the wokeness, the woke mob, the the whole push on DEI, and for those of you that don't know, is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means more transgenderism and gay rights in areas that they just want to push it to. This one now, they're trying to push into like spending an enormous amount of money into like the veterans hospitals and stuff like that. You know, I find it hard to believe that these Democrats think that they need that kind of ideology pushed on military veterans who are going through enough as it is. You know, they go through a lot. You know, almost all of them that have seen some kind of combat, they still deal with PTSD. I don't think they really give, you know, I don't think they really give a shit who's, you know, using these pronouns or who's black and who's white. You know, you'll hear from any soldier when you're on the battlefield, okay? Everybody's your brother. Nobody cares. And I come from a big military family. They don't care about color. They really don't. Because when the bullets are flying, they can give two flying shits what color you are. Okay? All they know is that who's on their side and who's the enemy, who they're shooting at and who's shooting at them. And I don't like doing videos on Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She irritates the living shit out of me. She is so arrogant. She is so condescending. I mean, if you just go back and look at any of her videos after you see this one, you'll see that her demeanor, she's just, how can I say, she's trash, basically. The way she talks to people. I mean, I've seen her put down military personnel while doing whatever briefings they got to do on Congress. I mean, like, really talk, four-star generals, talk down to them, belittle them. And I want you guys to pay attention to this, because there are so many things going on right now, and spending on military veterans is always a big issue with every administration. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody's seen any of my other videos. When the Democrats want to push legislation through for something, they always want to add millions of dollars to that for what they call pork. Just frivolous things they want to put in the budget because they think that's what's important. And 9 out of 10 times, it always ends up being for either something to do with the gay community or something to do with racism. And those are always the two fucking narratives that they use the most. And then the third will be immigration. But pay attention to this and you'll see what I'm talking about when Debbie Wasserman Schultz, whatever how you pronounce her name, says. Here we go.
Right at the desk.
Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 34, printed in House Report number 118-158, offered by Ms. Greene of Georgia.
Pursuant to House Resolution 614, the gentlewoman from Georgia, Ms. Greene, and a member opposed to each, We'll control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My amendment, I'm asking the House to support, strikes the funding for the Office of Resolution Management, Diversity, and Inclusion. The Office of Resolution Management, Diversity, and Inclusion in the VA is charged with promoting woke DEI initiatives. My amendment would strike over $86 million of funding for this woke office, which provides trainings for VA employees to teach them about their implicit bias. Just for you to understand what implicit bias means, because it was something I had to look up myself, it is described in ACORN. Implicit bias refers to a person's unconscious attitudes about other communities that can affect their behavior to those members. Unconscious attitudes,
So basically what they're saying is what the agenda they're pushing in colleges, in corporations and businesses. In other words, they want people to admit to something that's not true. And it always goes towards either white people or anybody that's not a Democrat. Because what they try to do with this type of training is to, let's say, come to a person like me. They'll look at me and say, okay, this guy's Native American, Latino, born and raised in the Bronx, but he's a Republican. He votes Republican. They will come to me and they will try to get out of me to say, you might have some underlying racial issues. We'd like to help you with that. My attitude would be, no, kiss my ass, go kick fucking rocks. I'm not a racist. So, in their eyes, I'm in self-denial. They're trying to pull something out of me that doesn't exist. And these so-called, whatever they call them, training platforms that they have on the job, they've been running this thing rampant the past few years since Biden came into office. And once again, it all started when Obama was president. And the Democrats keep pushing this thing about systemic racism. But they're the ones pointing fingers and saying, if you don't do this, you secretly might have some pent up racism inside of you. You need to prove to us you're not racist. Instead of them just going to fucking work, minding their business, do their job, get along with their coworkers, and leave it at that. No, they got to take tens of millions of taxpayer dollars and put it into funding like this to train people at a veterans hospital, when the people working at the veterans hospitals, they're dealing with men and women, mostly men, of all colors that have PTSD. So they're dealing with that alone. But yet they want to take those workers out of their time and say, you need to do this training. When these nurses and doctors and orderlies and hospital staff, they're black. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in engineering in hospitals. Everybody gets along. Everybody's worried about people coming into the emergency room. Everybody's worried about getting sick. Everybody's worried about making sure the bedrooms are clean, the hospital rooms are clean, the bathrooms are clean sheets. Everybody is trying to work as a unit. Nobody has time for the gossip, for the insinuations, for the accusations, or personal feelings of other staff thinking that, oh, that person doesn't like me. No, it's like, go to work, do your job. We have patients to take care of. But it really doesn't surprise me that a person like Debbie Wasserman Schultz would come up with something like this, and her party would come up with something like this. And they think that they're doing the veterans in the veterans hospitals a good service. Like these veterans, a lot of these veterans, they're getting old, they're sick, a lot of them are probably, dying. They can give a flying rat's ass if one of the workers approaches them and thinks that, oh, since I'm a white nurse, let me ask this black patient, you know, if I have permission to touch him, or if a black doctor goes up to a white patient, you know, let me ask this person if it's okay if a black man touches. You know, it is just so damn ridiculous what these Democrats do, wasting money on frivolous pork like this. But here we go.
Funding $86 million for people to be trained about things they feel that they don't know they feel. This makes absolutely no sense for the care of our great veterans. Instead of spending millions of tax dollars on woke ideology, we should put that money towards making the VA an agency that actually helps our heroes and our great veterans who served our military and our country and desperately need good care. When I'm at home in my district and I speak to veterans there, that is what I hear them talk about to me constantly, is their care that they want to receive at the VA, but yet they're failed so many times. Sick and injured veterans suffering with PTSD, depression, mental illness, and on the verge of suicide don't care if VA employees serving them have checked their white privilege. They just want to get the treatment that they need. Just
there you go. I don't care who you are. If you're a black person in the hospital, on the street, something's happening to you and you need help, you don't care what color the person is when they're coming to help you. The same thing goes with a white person. How many times do we see on TV black cops rescuing white people, white cops rescuing black people? Especially when it's only seconds or moments. You only have seconds or moments to spare to get this person to safety. You know, I remember watching the news during the so-called Summer of Love. There was a big riot that happened. I believe it was in Texas. There was a shooting. And it was, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was like one of the BLM riots. A couple of bad apples showed up, and they just started shooting, and there was, shots fired. And one of the cameramen, he hid behind I think it was a car, and when he was pointing the camera, it was like two black girls run behind a police car, and a white cop got in front of them and knelt down in front of them to protect them. That's what it's all about. Nobody asked him to check his white privilege. He didn't turn around and say, no, I'm not going to protect you because I'm black. These veterans don't care about color, because on the battlefield, the only colors that they see most of the time is red, and that's the blood of their fallen brothers. The bullets flying, the explosions, the fires, people dying, innocent people. They're running back and forth trying to survive themselves while trying to save other people that they don't even know. And the Democrats want everybody to fucking check their white privilege. Check their political privilege. Check their religious privilege. It's like, no, why don't you check yourself and let people be? And definitely leave these veterans alone. They know what they want. They don't care who's giving them the treatment. They don't care if the psychiatrist is white or black. They don't care if the nurse is white or black. They don't care if the oncologist is white or black. What they want is the treatment so they can get better. Because I've never heard, maybe I'm wrong, but I've never heard of anybody going to the hospital telling me that they didn't want a certain doctor because of the color of their skin. It was usually because they were not getting the right treatment. But let's keep going.
for some examples for the House to hear about the type of training that happens in this DEI department that is costing the American tax people $86 million. A few examples are managing gender diversity in the VA, managing implicit bias. Remember, those are feelings you don't know you have. Valuing workforce diversity and workplace inclusion, participating effective diversity and inclusion in the workplace for managers, supervisors, and team leaders, understanding micro behaviors in the VA work environment. It's time to put $86 million to taking care of our veterans' health care needs. That's the right place to spend the money. At this time, Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
She's right. All this is just for the Democrats. It has nothing to do with anybody else. They don't care. They don't. Because everything that she explained, what they're doing, this is an agenda that the Democrats push out. The leftists push out. Because they want people to learn these things to benefit themselves. Not the people that they're teaching it to. The teachers want this taught so it benefits the teachers. Because they get offended for every little thing. Every little thing is a microaggression. Every little thing to them is a white privilege situation. Everything to them is that, you might be harboring some hate. Are you sure you're not racist? Are you sure you're not a bigot? Are you sure you're okay with, with having different races around you? And that's all they keep pushing is race, 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 race. Everything is a skin color to them. Everything is a skin color to them. But here we go.
Generally reserved. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida seek recognition?
To claim time in opposition to the amendment.
Gentleman is recognized speaking opposite.
Pay attention to what she says. This is Debbie Wassurman Schultz. And let me tell you something. Like I said, this woman aggravates the living crap out of me. I mean, how people like her are still in political power is beyond me. How she I'd like to know who are the people in Florida that keep voting her in. The same way I'd like to know who are the people in New York that keep voting in Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to claim time in opposition to this discriminatory amendment. VA strives to fairly represent...
See, there she goes. Discriminatory amendment. Wanting to take the money away from a frivolous training program and putting more of that to the veterans to get better care, she thinks is discriminatory. It's disgusting.
And support the communities that it serves, and all veterans deserve equitable and fair access to the health care and benefits that they have earned. Diversity and inclusion foster a healthy workplace environment.
Oh no, it doesn't, sweetheart. That has ripped so many companies apart and has ripped society apart to the point that you got to keep pushing it because you're losing grip. More and more people are waking up.
And promote equal opportunity through smart outreach, retention, and education. Our veterans, despite the sponsors' denial of a more greatly diverse VA, our veterans increasingly are diverse themselves. And they...
Did you hear that? A greatly diverse VA. Everybody knows what that means now when it's coming from a Democrat. It's all about just giving people who have no skills or anything like that what they want. I would not be surprised, in all honesty, if they take some of this money the way they're doing with the schools and having what is that, drag reading hour for the kids. I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying to throw drag shows in the VA. I kid you not.
They deserve that. The bill already rejected the budget request to fund the Office of Resolution Management, Diversity, and Inclusion at the levels needed to support the department in 2024, and instead holds the office flat at the same funding level provided in 2023. And now this amendment seeks to eliminate the already inadequate funding in the bill entirely. What is so threatening about the Office of Resolution Management, Diversity, and Inclusion?
Everything. Everything is wrong with it. It's designed to separate people. It's designed to make people look at each other in a different light, in a bad light. It's designed to only benefit the Democratic Party.
This office, among many things it does, prevents harassment and discrimination problems. I can't imagine why we wouldn't want to combat that, why we wouldn't want to make sure that everybody is able to come to work or to be treated at the VA in an even-handed and fair way.
See, there you go. You see, that's the key thing right there. In other words, they want to stick more of their people into the VA. She's trying to make it seem like a lot of these veterans are part of the whole gay movement and transgender movement, like they needed to be treated a certain way. You gotta read, you gotta understand how to read what they're saying. It's been happening for so long. What she's basically saying is that the people that they want to put in the hospitals, the workers, they don't want them to be discriminated against because it's the certain type of workers and staff that they want in there. And we all know where this is going right now. Anybody with half a brain could see this because it's been happening for so long. They just want to keep pushing their narrative and pushing their narrative and pushing their narrative. I mean, it's just like in Britain, I believe, American Airlines, I think it is. They're changing their whole like flight plan. They are only hiring people of color. Black pilots, black stewardesses, black this, black that. And I'm just like, if I'm in a fucking plane, I don't give a flying fuck what color you are. I want to get off the ground safely and land safely. Why the fuck does everything have to be woke? Those are people bending the knee. I don't really care if the waitress in a restaurant's black or white, or purple or green, or Spanish or Chinese or Jewish. I don't care. But with the Democrats, that's, they like I said before, they're using the black community, they're using the Latino community, they're using the gay community to do their dirty bidding. They're making everybody see color and gender and all this. It's like, leave people alone already. Leave them alone. Why does everything have to be categorized a certain way? Everything has to be separate for them. It's the blacks got to have their way. The Latinos got to get their way. The gays got to get their way. It's like, why can't Americans just be together in unity? I mean, it's getting to the point that a lot of Democrat, when they're using their talking points, the new thing is the black, brown, and indigenous people. I'm sorry, I am Cherokee Indian. I come from a very proud Native American family. Leave us the fuck out of this shit. Don't you dare put us in the black and brown and indigenous sentence all in one. No. We're not out there fighting for that. We've got a lot more problems than that. Okay, in our community, on our reservations, don't you dare put us in your bullshit. Because when the Native Americans need help, hardly anybody's fucking there to help them. A lot of times we got to fend for ourselves, but you know what? We do, and many of us still treat people equally. I get very offended every time the Democrats keep using that phrase. Because it's like they're trying to stick us, to be part of their ideology. But I can go on with that, but let's keep going.
It heads off costly legal problems for the VA and saves taxpayer money in the long term, which I thought was something that our friends on the other side of the aisle are interested in. I believe the real issue is that our friends on the other side of the aisle don't like the increasing diversity that is occurring in this country. And
no, it's probably about 80%, 90% of the country that doesn't like what the hell's going on with the Democrats. You're losing more constituents. More people are voting independent. More people are voting Republican. Okay? You're losing grip in the big cities with all the crime. You've lost the border. You're pushing your transgender ideology on everybody else's kids in school. But you know what? Yeah, you're right. But it's a way bigger percentage. It's not just people on the right. It's a way bigger percentage. A lot of my family and friends in New York vote Democrat, that like Democrat of old. They don't believe in all the transgenderism. They don't believe in the racism. Okay? They don't believe in a lot of that bullshit the Democrats are pushing. But she'll come and tell you that it's us on the right that hate everybody. It's insane.
And there's an effort underway as a result across all appropriations bills to excise that word and any policy related to it, to cut anything related to diversity regardless of the purpose and need of the office. This is an inherently discriminatory, unfair, bigoted amendment, and I urge my...
Did you hear that? You see the words that they use? Bigoted, unfair. Everything with them it has to be racist. Everything with them has to be fucking racist. And people wonder why, on my videos, why do I curse so much? There's a few reasons. One, I was born and raised in the Bronx, so if you don't like it, go kick fucking rocks. Okay? I know when to hold my tongue. But these people pull out a lot of ugly out of people. They pull out a lot of anger out of people. Okay? And they do it in a passive-aggressive way. They use words, they use terms, like they said, like they love to say trigger words and all this shit. They do this, and it brings a lot of anger out of people. Anger that people wouldn't normally have, but it's not an anger that I hate you, I want you dead. No, it's an anger that you need to fucking stop. You need to stop already. Because you're stirring up hornet's nests left and right around this country.
My colleagues to oppose it, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Joe Lay reserves. Joe Lay from Texas, recognized. Sorry, from Georgia, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The great news for all of us here today, as the Constitution declared long ago, is that all of us are created equal.
Thank
and it's
you.
time that we start acknowledging that in all of our funding, in all of our departments, and all across America, as well as our veterans are created equal. So we don't have to spend $86 million on educating everyone on how different they are. It's time to start treating everyone equal. As far as sexual harassment claims, private businesses all over the country are able to handle these without having special diversity, equity, and inclusion departments to handle sexual harassment. That's usually handled in human resources or among managers that can handle the situation. Management has always been a problem in the VA. We do not need to fund $86 million creating a big woke department that is actually already created. We should spend $86 million again towards helping our veterans. Our veterans have enough issues they faced. Not too long ago, there was a tragic story in Georgia where one of our veterans committed suicide while waiting for the care in the waiting office at the VA. This should never, ever happen. This type of funding, $86 million, again, should not go towards educating people about gender and gender bias, educating people about their skin color, educating people about how they think unconsciously without knowing how they think. These are the type of woke ideologies that divide and separate Americans, and veterans could care less about. They care.
There you go. And that's what it is. For them to have this woke ideology, these diversity classes or whatever they want to call it, to approach a person who's minding their business, drinking a cup of coffee, and then they come at you and say, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? And then that person's like, what are you talking about? I'm having my coffee. Are you sure? Because I can look at you and something tells me you're thinking some racist shit. And then you got to stop and think and be like, well, first of all, I'm not thinking that. Second of all, who's the real fucking racist here? It's on your mind, not on my mind. And that's what the Democrats do. Everything with them is about skin color. It's about gender. It's about this. Who cares? In all honesty, who really cares? People walk up and down the street all day long. They go to work. They do whatever it is to do to function in society. I highly doubt that the first thing on everybody's mind is, am I being a good black person today or a good white person today? Am I being a good straight person or a bad gay person or bad straight? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think that's the way people are functioning as they're walking. That everybody, in my opinion, is walking like, how am I going to make this money? I got to get to work. I got to pay the bills. This one's sick in my family. What am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? I highly doubt people's skin color and people's gender is the first thing on everybody's mind, except the ones that are pushing this division in society.
Care about the care that they receive. They care about having their appointments. They care about their medical treatment. And they care about one another. And one of the things veterans care most about is the fact that they suffer with PTSD from all the foreign wars that they have been sent to and served in. It's time we take better care of our veterans and stop dividing America with identity politics. Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Amen to that. Because it's true. It's true. It's got to stop. You know, I mean, as a person that's traveled in different states and worked a lot of construction sites, numerous other jobs, I mean, I've been around all kinds of people. I mean, I've worked in restaurants, I've worked in cemeteries, I've worked in hospitals, I've worked construction. I mean, you name it, I've probably done it. Landscaping, roofing, I've done so many different things. And you know what? I honestly have to say, if I ever got into an argument with anybody over race, I can't remember. I literally cannot remember. But that's a mindset of trying to treat people right the way you want to be treated. It's not about, oh, you got to treat me good because of my feelings. It's about what kind of a person could I be to not offend somebody without even thinking about it, or without even saying, you know what, let me go talk to this person because that seems like the loneliest, I don't know, Spanish, black, white person on the job. No, it's just like, you know what, we're here to work. This guy or this girl, they're a good worker. You know, let me give them a hand, or if they put me to work with them, that's it. The conversation should never be about race. The conversation should never be about gender or sex or whatever the case is. For these Democrats to keep putting these training courses, you know, I mean, they've got the corporations, you know, totally fucked up Bud Light. You know, I mean, Disney it's all but gone, you know, with all their woke, you know, movies and cartoons and everything. The school system, I mean, like I said before, needs to be abolished and like redone, or just abolished and let the counties deal with it, let the parents deal with it. What more do they want? They just want it all. They want it all, you know, and they keep pushing it. And I'm glad the president of Nigeria, I think it was, that basically Obama made a comment about, you know, the gay community, how come and he told him, he said, listen, you run, you know, we don't worry about what you do in America. Leave us here alone. Go fucking kick rocks. Go push your agenda somewhere else. It's disgusting what the Democrats have become. I look at them and I have to say it, God forgive me, but I look at them and I'm like, you know, you're all a bunch of just a bunch of sexual perverted freaks, man. Not all, but I mean the big majority of them, because it's like, why do you keep pushing this stuff on people? And now, especially on veterans, they're dealing with enough. They do not care about your skin color or gender. But it's not surprising. But I'm glad that people are, you know, they're speaking up. And we need more people to do that. We need more people to start showing the Democrats, you know, we get along because of how we treat each other. Not because of how we would like to see each other. Unless you just want to see somebody doing good. Nobody wants to see anybody do bad. But it should always be we treat each other good, because that's what, you know, that's what we want to spread. But the Democrats, they're not all about that. They're not all about that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Not for them, actually. I'm sorry for the people that they're brainwashing. I really am. But anyway, I hope you liked the video. Please comment, subscribe, thumbs up. Want to keep the algorithm going and, you know, get a lot more followers and do better content. And remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.